Divinity Original Sin was a Kickstarter program, if I'm not mistaken. Can you tell me a bit about how that started and how you've been able to spin that into such success?
It actually started as a Kickstarter project as we were finishing up the game, and we thought if we only had a couple of months more, we could really make it even better. So there were things that we had planned that we couldn't do anymore, and the engine was also proving to be a lot more flexible than we thought. And with just that little injection of a bit more money, we thought we could make this so much better, so much more. We can invest a lot more manpower into, for instance, making every encounter something unique. There were things that are now in the game that we didn't have before. I think we planned 4 schools of skills, and we now have 7 or 8. We didn't even plan real customization, all kinds of things. We were able to completely redo the starting area. We could make a tutorial area, etc. And the Kickstarter for us turned out to be, it actually helps in getting the RPG audience to know the game. Because we had announced that we were working on a new Divinity title, but thanks to Kickstarter, a lot more people knew this. And we also learned that we actually have a huge audience that's backing us up. We have a lot of fans. We didn't realize this. We were going to Kickstarter to get, like, I think we wanted $200,000. We got $1 million out of it. Everyone was thinking, like, yeah, maybe 200,000, maybe that's pushing it. But I think we hit 200,000 after a couple of days, and we were all like, oh my God! And then when we actually got to $1 million, we were like, okay, now we really have to prove ourselves and show everyone in the world, and especially the Kickstarter backers, that we're capable of doing this. And the Kickstarter backers and having it on Steam and early access helped us making this game what it is now a lot better.
Awesome, that's great. Did you guys ever think it would come to console?
No, because even thinking of it when we were making this game is like, wow, this is so typical a PC RPG.
Right.
You are able to interact with everything. You can pick up little knives and forks that are lying on the table. How are you going to do that on a console? No one dare think of this. How are you going to get all this control and all this interaction out of something like a controller? We are originally really a PC company. We did make Divinity 2 for console, but that was more of an action RPG. And this is more back to the thing that we wanted to do. And we also didn't think that there would be an audience for this on console, but as it grew very successful, more and more people were asking us, like, are you going to make this for console? We started fooling around with controller schemes and trying to get the controls working. And actually, once we got the controls working on a controller, we were very confident that, especially with the new hardware on the consoles, we could pull this off. Because I honestly don't think we could get this working on a 360 or a PlayStation 3. Without losing a lot of the quality or having to make smaller levels or more level loads. So it's a couple of things coming together.
Great. When does the game launch on PS4 and Xbox One?
It will launch, we're saying fall 2015, most probably October. So we're aiming for October this year.
Okay, great. And will PC owners get any sort of a discount?
PC owners that already own the game right now, they will get the enhanced edition for free. So if you have it on Steam or on GOG, you will just the game will automatically be added to your to your library of games.
Wow.
Because it's the enhanced edition. It has a lot of content, but to us it's Divinity Original Sin. And yeah, we made a lot of enhancements, but this is also thanks to the guys that are already playing it, and they said, like, well, wouldn't it be cool if, and if only blah. So these guys are helping us out. When we're bringing it to console, it should be the game that everyone always wanted. And I know that as a developer, you always feel a game is never finished. So even, especially when bringing it to console, you want it to be finished. And if people say, like, it's an RPG, we're kind of missing dual wielding, kind of missing wands. Why can't you throw grenades as a rogue? That would be really kick-ass. So we're just adding these things, and don't mention it, but we're also fixing still a couple of bugs here and there. But you know, it's not really bugs, but like improvements that we think if we release this game now on console, it'll be good. Now that it's enhanced, it'll be better. So we're just rewarding the people that gave us all this feedback, because this is something that we learned during Kickstarter and during early access. The feedback of the gamers is something that we really need.
Well, it's really generous of you guys to give that away for free.
It's not about generosity. It's just about this is what you deserve.
Wow, cool. Will players on PC be able to transfer game saves, or is that not possible?
No, unfortunately not, because the story has changed so much that we just can't. Certain decisions that you've already taken in your save game, they're not compatible with the current story version. The character customization that you've done, all the loot that you collected, the skills that you have, we have changed so much that it's totally not possible. But I think that if you have played the game before in the normal version and you really liked it, I think you'll want to play it again just to see what changed. And if you take the time to learn how that for instance, the loot system completely changed, and that the skill system completely changed, that there's so many new things, all the full voice acting, we hope that after playing for a couple of hours, you'll just keep on going.
Okay, all right. So, speaking of things that you changed about the game, the skills, how did they change? I mean, what's different about the quests and the skills and the loot?
Okay, I was really super involved with changing the skills. The first step that we took was, if in the current game we had like 3 different fireballs, like a small one, a medium one, and a large one.
Right.
We threw that away. We don't want people to have 3 different fireballs because it's fireball 1, 2, and 3. We want to have like fireball, meteor strike, and infectious flame or something. It should be different always, not like small poisonous arrow and huge poisonous arrow. This is boring. So we removed all the crap, and then we said like, oh, now we only have 4 skills left. So that's one thing. We removed all the copies of skills. Then we made every the statuses, for instance, we made them unique. So in the current game, it's possible for a witch to inflict bleeding. It's possible for a rogue to inflict bleeding. It's possible for a warrior to inflict bleeding. What are we doing now? We think like, okay, bleeding, it should be something unique to the rogue. Blinding, this is unique to that guy. So these are, again, we call them horizontal copies. We removed that. So everyone is now more unique. So the rogue is the only guy that can inflict bleeding. So you're making, as a role player, you're making more of a choice. We also rearranged the skills on a vertical level, because we used to have skills in the beginning of the game that were really super and kick ass, and then in the middle of the game it went a bit flat. And you thought like, well, I already had the kick ass skills. This is not getting any better. And then it went up again a bit. So what we are doing now is that every time that you see a higher level skill, you go like, holy shit, and it just has to keep on going better and better and better. So we improved the progression in the skills. We also changed the way that you learn skills, etc. So this is one of the things that we did to skills, and as you can see, we had to create new skills. We rebalanced existing skills. One of the things that we got from current players is, for instance, they only want to spend their action points on stuff that does damage. We have so many buffing and debuffing, people don't use it. Because, well, if I'm going to have to spend 5 or 6 action points on buffing guys, I would rather go over there and smack him on the face.
Right.
Because the main thing in combat is to get the other guy to fall on his ass and die. Yeah. So all these buffing and debuffing skills, for instance, they cost a lot less action points than they used to, and this has changed the dynamic of combat, because people are buffing and debuffing, and also the AI is doing it a lot more now because they don't require as many action points as they used to. And this has completely changed, for me, I think, the tactic of the combat. It's really been improved. The quests, we removed choices, for instance, that no one ever thought of, and we added certain other things that people on forums and on Steam went like, you can do this, no one ever thought of that, but you can't do that, and that's the first thing that my mother would even do, you know. And we just listened to everyone and what they would change. We also clarified dialogues, made them shorter. We have a lot of very lengthy dialogues, and we just made them shorter, because You don't really finish listening to them, for instance.
I'm excited about the buffing and debuffing changes you mentioned. I made sort of like a cleric build, and they have a lot of buffs, and I just didn't really use them as much because what you're saying, they took up a lot of action points, and you want to, like you said, you want to walk over and smack them in the face, and you'd rather do that with your action points.
No.
So
it came from a lot of people that are playing it, and especially also from our QA guys. So we just tried to evaluate their save games, and we went. And these gave us really a lot of insight. We also asked for save games from players and their builds when they finish the game. And we go like, why didn't you learn that skill? They go, oh, it's not useful. What do you mean it's not useful? Come on, man, you can freeze someone. What the fuck do I care about freezing if I can kill him with as many actions? But and this is really cool that you involve the players and your QA team in going like, well, this is bullshit. I mean, design is not always right. We don't live in some ivory tower going like, this is how it should be. So we give everyone a voice, especially the players.
That's great. I appreciate it. It's great. Do you guys have any plans for an expansion or a sequel?
At the moment, no. We're not sure. We're still thinking about it. We're talking about it because going to console also, of course, the console builders go like, how are you going to do this and how are you going to do that? Are there going to be any DLCs or expansions? We're still thinking about it together with Microsoft and Sony. We're still thinking about it together with Focus. So I have no idea yet.
Okay. All right. And what are some of your inspirations for the game and how do they influence it?
I think everyone has different inspirations on for instance, the design team. For Sven, I don't think it's a secret, but he really likes the Ultima games.
Okay.
For instance, the interaction and all the different possibilities and all the freedom. He gets this from having played Ultima when he was, I don't know, a teenager, I guess. To me, I'm more of a turn-based combat guy, and the first turn-based combat game I played was the Gold Box series from the late 80s, early 90s, like Champions of Kryn, Death Knights of Kryn, the Dark Queen of Kryn, all kinds of stuff from Kryn, the Dragonlance series, and that uses, I think, D&D, some simplified version of 1 or 2. So that's my inspiration. Farang, our lead designer, he plays all kinds of games. He gets inspiration from whatever he played yesterday, and it can even be a Mario game or something. He came up with the control scheme, and he's using all kinds of input of all the games that he played on all the different consoles. Then another designer that we have really only plays like the AAA games that have $1 billion budgets, and sometimes his insight also teaches us something because this is the type of game that we don't play. So I think the inspiration from a very varied group comes together in something as crazy as what we've made.
Right, yeah. It feels like it's very smooth. The combat, the way the game plays, it feels like a AAA title because there's not really any kinks in it.
It has become a AAA title, thank God.
Yeah.
I'm glad that people now at least see it as that. We have been trying to improve everything as much as possible just so that it would indeed be viewed as a AAA title.
Right. This isn't the first Divinity game that Larian Studios has made. Can you tell me a bit about how Original Sin is different from previous games and what you guys tried to do differently or improve?
We actually went back to where we started. The first Divinity game was a top-down game. It was an action game because the publisher back then wanted an action game, and Diablo was such a success. But we always wanted to make a party-based RPG with turn-based combat. And Divine Divinity was not that. Beyond Divinity started out as that, and again the publisher said, no, you can't make a turn-based game. No one will buy it. No one's interested. You should not do that. So we couldn't. And then Divinity 2 was an action game because everyone was jumping on the console bandwagon and going like, oh, you should make an action RPG. Same story again. The publisher kind of told us to, because otherwise they wouldn't pay us. And for this game, we just said, you know what? We'll put all. It was a big gamble. We'll put the entire Larian money in this, and we're going to make this turn-based, party-based, multiplayer RPG that we always wanted to, with a lot of interaction, with a lot of skills, with a lot of freedom. and we finally did it. So this is the difference between this and all the previous Divinity games, is that we now did not have anything holding us back or telling us what to do.
Just went for it.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Thank God.
It certainly did. It certainly did. It's a great game.
Thank you.
Yeah. Divinity is more of a traditional RPG, and many of these types of games tend to be solo. What did you guys decide? Why did you guys decide to have a multiplayer element, and how difficult was that to achieve?
We have always wanted to make a multiplayer RPG because we're also well, the older geezers at Larian, they're tabletop RPG players. So an RPG to us is something that you crack out the beer and you start playing tabletop RPG. You do this with friends.
Yeah.
You have a dungeon master that says how it's gonna be, and you have a couple of friends, and they're all assholes, you know. It's fun. Multiplayer stuff is fun. When we started playing games, we were holding an arcade stick, standing next to each other, drinking beer, smoking cigarettes, kicking each other's asses in Double Dragon. This is fun. This is gaming, you know. Some people seem to forget what games are about. It's about story. Sure, it's about story, but primarily it's about having fun. And the more people there are, the more fun you have. So you need a multiplayer game. Sven also was inspired by, he and his wife played a couple of RPGs together. So they were trying to play Diablo 3, but he didn't like it. They were playing World of Warcraft together, but it's an MMO, which is a different thing than an RPG with a story. Well, not with a story, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And so this idea started brewing, like, why are, indeed, like you said, why are RPGs always so single player? They started out as something that you have to do with more than one person.
That's a great perspective. I mean, I'm always of the opinion that more people is better than less people, no matter what game it is. Any game could benefit from multiplayer. That's the way I do it, because I like playing with my friends.
Yeah.
I don't want to sit there and play by myself if I can play with my friends.
Yeah, because there's when I get together with my friends, there's not a lot of computer games that we play. We play board games.
Yeah.
Because then everyone can join in.
Yeah, absolutely. Last question. Some of these are already answered, but just for the purposes of the interview, will there be local co-op or online co-op?
Yes and yes.
Okay, and how many players can play at once?
I think 2. Wait, let me think. Yeah, it's 2.
Okay. Will the game require PS Plus or Xbox Gold to play online?
I have no idea.
Okay.
For local co-op, obviously not.
Right.
I think multiplayer on PlayStation is still free.
Okay.
If you want to play over the internet, I don't know how Xbox One works, but with the 360 it used to be so that you needed gold to be able to play multiplayer. I don't know how this works on Xbox One. I'm not responsible for this. So we're also still working on the online multiplayer for consoles. We first wanted to get the split screen and the local co-op there. It will be in, of course, but I don't know the details yet.
Okay.
Still reading the SDK.
Okay. All right.